Awkward pauses. Welcome back to the Brew Crew podcast, everyone. This is episode 219. We are back virtual again, but hey, no big deal. Not sure if we'll make it through. I'll make it through. If Matt has to drop off, you drop off. It's fine. We got a lot going on in the Brew Crew world. I want to at least first address a correction from last week. Right after we posted the episode, Juggalo Jeff, friend of the show, guest of the show, he reached out and said, "Hey, I think you mischaracterized my description of fruit. What was it? The fruit beer from
the fruit punch from New Belgium."
Yes, and he's right. I did. So what I heard was, "Oh, I love this beer. It's like Kool-Aid." But what he was saying was he didn't taste the hops, and it wasn't. I think what I did was I mischaracterized his enjoyment of it. But he's a fan, and I don't want to undersell it, oversell it. I think I just want to sell it. So whatever mischaracterization I did, I apologize for that. Go back and listen to that episode and hear his words. I still think I gave it a terrible score for sure. I still think the beer is for somebody. So go and buy it. But definitely he reached out to me. Appreciate you listening, like almost immediately. It was the same day, so that's pretty awesome. Thanks, Jeff, for doing that. And sorry for mischaracterizing it. And if at any time you want to come back on the show, you're always welcome. Look at that heart.
It's a must listen. And the one thing that I take from that, it's always good to get feedback. JT is going to be wrong sometimes. I'm wrong all of the time, but we will never, ever put what we do. And it was something that we talked about off podcast, just beer notes between ourselves. It's something that we will never, ever knowingly do, especially when it comes to guests.
Yes, absolutely. I don't want to mischaracterize. I was looking to be excited. So when I heard the words he was saying, I was like, "Oh, I'm all in on this beer." So that's what happened there. But anyway, what you got?
I do have, as I was just trying to get ahead on the spreadsheet, I do have a beer situation that happened to me this last week that I would like you and I would like the Chugalo's opinion. It's happened to all of us. So this last weekend, I decided I'm going to change my volume a little bit. I went back to my hometown, Eau Claire, and I took my best friend and my sister and her better half out to dinner. And went to my favorite restaurant, Stella Blues. Ouch out to Stella Blues. And my sister ordered a Blue Moon, all the other good beer selections, and she ordered a Blue Moon. She got it. It was immediately terrible.
Yeah.
I got it, or I drank some of it, and there was it was polluted with dishwater or something like that. My best friend had it because my sister's better half, outshout Easy Eric, was not there at the time. Mikey had it, Chugalo Mikey had it, and said it was terrible. So then that beer sat at the edge of the table. So a full pint glass sat at the edge of the table with an ounce or two missing, and the waitress didn't ask about it one time.
Wow.
But my sister ordered another drink immediately, but that one just sat there. So beer situation. I've never been known as somebody that will send food back. It's very rare that it's a beer but this would have been a drain pour. This would have been like a Jim Klein Rogue Bat Squatch situation. I'm in this situation, and you can mold it however you want to for conversation's sake. How would you handle that situation, JT?
Yeah, I think similarly. I'm trying to think. This happened recently where there was a beer that was undrinkable that I'd ordered.
Okay.
And I believe the waitress did ask about it, but what I did was I didn't set it at the end of the table. I sat it kind of like in behind where a beer should go.
Okay.
So I kind of left the blank spot where the beer was, and then just pushed it further back, clearly indicating I'm not drinking this anymore. And then the waitress came and asked, about the beer, and I said, "Look, this is not a beer I'm interested in drinking anymore." But it wasn't for the reason you stated. And I was actually going to ask a follow-up to that.
Sure.
the glass is tainted with dishwater.
That's what it tastes like. I didn't go in for a second taste, but I was like, this automatically is not what I've come to know what a Blue Moon is.
No, this actually happened recently.
Okay.
During Christmas, and this might be a surprise to Chuggalo and Nicole. I believe one of her wine glasses, and like her, I don't drink wine. I think she drinks a little bit of wine, but like I wouldn't know if my wine glasses were like overly soapy because I don't drink wine. So I clean them, they go in the cabinet, that's it. But I believe hers were, and my uncle just wound up using a red Solo cup. Fine.
Hell yeah.
But like it's never happened to me at a restaurant where I was like, wow, this tastes like dishwater, or even worse, like a dish rag. That would be, I wouldn't order another beer if that happened. But in my case, the beer, I just didn't like the beer. And so she left it on the table, but she did let me order another beer and took it off the bill. But I didn't ask her.
I'm fairly certain it was on the because I didn't investigate. I just paid for everyone's meal. I'm usually at the end of a meal, and I'm gonna because I'm gonna go with a crack on my first beer while I tell this story and drink. But this is Excelsior Brewing Company from Excelsior, Minnesota. This is Bridge, and this is a West Coast IPA. But anyways, so I just, if I'm paying for a bill, here's the card. I trust you. I mean, you could, this is probably bad. This is a well-renowned and researched and ridiculed podcast. Just take the card. Yeah, this one. So waitresses and waiters everywhere are gonna, look at me and be like, "Ooh, he doesn't even investigate or whatever." And I was like, "Here you go." And I had a couple of beers already that day, getting my haircut at my favorite place, and then going next door and having a beer in the same building. But it was interesting, and I thought about it. I was like, this is great conversation, because it wasn't dish rag, it could be, but I think we attributed it to collectively at the table as a bad line, maybe, and then because all the rest of our drinks were fine, whether they came in a glass or the receptacle that they were the brewery put it in.
Yeah, I mean there's a difference there. If the beer's bad and the line's bad,
yeah,
that's one thing. If the glass is dirty, or it's cleaned, not rinsed, I mean, there's a lot going on there, and I think there's different reactions to the two.
I think it said more about us because none of the three of us were like commit. It was easier for me to be like, you know what, I'm going to pay for this. Probably not the waitress's fault, but to be non-confrontational, especially in that sitting and where we are for culture, and not wanting to be a Karen, not wanting a loogie in my food or anything like that. So we dealt with it by not dealing with it, but it gave me something to talk about. So at least I feel like I'm getting my value from the undrinkable beer.
Yeah, well, you definitely are. It takes a special kind of person to complain at a restaurant. I'm not one of those types of people. Nothing's ever wrong at a restaurant. I actually have had the experience where, actually I did have an experience similar to yours. It was in Yellow Springs. There's a restaurant, not near Yellow Springs Brewery, but it was in Yellow Springs. And I was served a beer that tasted awful. It was Boat Show. I mean, just terrible. And I did not order another beer. I think this is where I didn't order another beer. But I didn't complain. I did not complain.
Yeah. So Chuggalos, let us know below. Also, we have one announcement to make, and one I think I'm going to let JT slow play whatever JT does with the information.
Okay.
So due to the popularity of the Advent calendar and the many of Chuggalos that participated, we have we're going to call them the Up North crew. Yeah. Ryan and Michelle have decided that they're going to start doing videos. I don't know what their periodicity is. JT and I have always done this weekly, plus or minus shorts or wherever our travels are. So we're going to be getting some extra content out for you, the Chuggalos. And their first episode from the Up North crew just dropped, I think, a couple of days ago. They had me drop it. So I don't know their periodicity. We thank them for and it's a must watch. Absolutely. One of them is actually a FIP beer. So it's an Illinois beer. They drink. Yeah, it's crazy. So anyways, go check that out. And JT may be working on, I don't know if I want to spoil it, but JT, that's your news.
Well, yeah, I talked about Chuggalos Phil doing some educational videos. I think I've mentioned
he just dropped it.
I think I've mentioned it on the at least the advent calendar.
Yeah.
But he's currently out of state. But when he gets back, he wants to do these. These are going to have to be more produced because I have no idea how this is going to go. What I think he wants to do is like a very prop-driven educational thing where he kind of has some hops or he has some malts and kind of talks about how the brewing process works step by step. For the Brew Crew podcast has always been for it's been approachable. It's for the non-pretentious beer drinker. These will be for people who, well, I already know that. Well, then don't watch it. That's the point here. But I think that the way he's describing how it will be filmed, it will take some editing, some cuts, and some patches, whatever. So it might take a little longer to get out. And plus, he's not going to be back in Ohio for, I don't know, a couple more weeks. So yeah, look for that probably springtime.
Chuggalos Phil and myself, we're in a race to get back to Ohio. We'll see who wins.
Ooh, yeah. Well, he'll win, I think.
Well, come on.
Depending, I hope
teasing.
I hope you win in a way that gets you both here early.
Yeah,
I don't hope that you win in the fact that it takes him longer to get back, because that would be unfortunate for all parties involved.
Paradoxical.
So as you would crack your first beer, I'm cracking mine. I took a risk, a JT risk, because I haven't particularly been fond of a lot of Warped Wing beers. I do like their creamsicle beer, and that is about the only one that I've enjoyed. This is a Warped Wing Radio Vision. Now, I've seen this on tap twice since I bought this beer and purposely did not get it. And it is a hazy IPA, Matt's favorite type of IPA. Just kidding.
Gross.
This is the West Coast. I like the hazies. This is a Dayton beer. Both of my beers today are going to be Dayton beers. So Radio Vision, that's what I'm drinking. Hazy IPA, 6%, 10 IBUs.
Haven't heard of Warped Wing. Hopefully they take off and they have some good product. So I want to talk a little bit about Excelsior. So again, first time we've done them on the podcast. Excelsior, named after a Minneapolis, St. Paul suburb, Excelsior.
Oh, wow.
So this is Bridge, a West Coast IPA, and you can find out more from them from ExcelsiorBrew.com. So probably just Google it. Excelsior could be a challenging room. So they've been open since 2012. And honestly, when I was at the store here a couple of weeks ago, this is the first time I'd seen Excelsior. And for somebody that's been familiar with the area for much longer than that, it's always good to find something that I haven't had or haven't heard of. And their mission is inspired by the lake lifestyle. How creative for Minnesota. Everyone's mission is inspired by the lake lifestyle. And they respect the history of Excelsior and Lake Minnetonka, which is one of the biggest lakes around here, by partnering with her neighbor. Lake Minnetonka.
That's the lake. Fun fact, that's the lake that Dave Chappelle playing Prince.
Yep.
Tells Charlie Murphy to I don't know what he tells him to do. Jump in the lake for some reason. That lake, though, that's the specific one.
Because the Prince estate is on Lake Minnetonka.
Ah, that makes sense. Well, there you go.
So that's just doing their research.
2000s.
Action oriented, very, they got 6 pictures of individuals on there. CEO, founding partner, head brewer, business manager, and VP of sales. Awesome, some action shots or whatever. Very family oriented. Very cis white male. I'll just say that.
Is that the only VP? Is the VP? I think you have to have more VPs if you're going to have a VP.
Yeah, because who's the VP to? Who's taking care of stuff.
He's the VP of brewing.
For a West Coast IPA, I really like that. That's blown my mind how he's a VP and he's the only one. For a 7%, it's right in that sweet spot. This is a delightful beer. This is, I love that they go with Pontoon Crushable, the Up North crew. This for a WIPA at 7%, this is up there with Boat Show. This is up there with Truth. This is up there with like the standards. Unfortunately,
So
it only
you're bringing the hop profile down a little bit.
Yep. Unfortunately, it only comes in a 12-ounce can, which is fine. But resinous punch of grapefruit, pine, and citrus. All of those things I love in my beer, and that's why I, just reading it now after I'm going to laud it and give it the score. Off the top rope, I give this a 4.5. This is probably one of my favorite Minnesota standards, and I think this beer is available all year round. Because there's always one-offs from Surly and the big guys and stuff like this, but it's something that is readily available year-round in this area. This beer is a delight. Off the top rope, 4.5.
So bitterness just a little bit beneath what a traditional West Coast would be, kind of more aligned with our Ohio regular standard IPAs, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
very,
so it's
very good, very approachable, grapefruit.
It's a line, again, more of that rind and the inedible part of the grapefruit, but like if you would suck on that or whatever, not like the citrus. The citrus is there, but it's not all of the flesh. It's some of the rind. So like if you popped some of that in, like zest, grapefruit zest.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right. Well, this Warped Wing Radio Vision. First of all, the logo. Well, this is a can art boner segment. The logo here, I was gifted either I was gifted or my wife found on Facebook Marketplace a Warped Wing tap handle. It is the best tap handle, the most intricate, detailed tap handle I own. I love it. It's very cool. And that's just a side note there. And it looks like this part here. It's a wing. It's a cool. I like this purple color. I'm not sure what this shade of purple is, but I just think it's a nice shade. It's
mauve.
Yeah, mauve. Okay, mauve. Like a dull mauve. This has to be Warped Wing's second best beer that I've ever had. The creamsicle still takes the cake. I thought that beer was absolutely a 5. This beer it has a citrus profile to the IPA part, to the hops, but it's a very tropical. I'm hesitant to say pineapple because it's not that, but it definitely tastes like that kind of, like it's approaching that kind of juiciness from this hazy IPA standpoint. I'm like in between a pineapple and maybe like a melon, like a honeydew or something.
A melon,
like a thick, sweet juiciness to it that's not citrus. It's definitely not the citrus, although the citrus is there.
Like a juice or like a concentrate almost?
Almost, just, yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, what makes a hazy IPA juicy? Whatever that is, it's in this. And this beer really settles in to the palate nicely. It is crushable as hell. I mean, this beer is not overly sweet. It's not overly hoppy or bitter. Obviously, 10 IBUs, that's where it's coming in at. I mean, this should be a beer that they keep on the shelves for a long time. I can't wait to try this on tap. I'm sure it's going to be just excellent. I think we're pretty aligned on two different.
Sorry, Stacey.
I think you could actually amp up the hops just a tad because they totally get lost in all of that juiciness. And there's like 4 hops in this thing: Citra, Mosaic, Cascade, and Bravo. So
those are all WIPA hops.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
crazy.
They do a good job. Just really well balanced, really smooth beer. I give it a 4.5. I just think that you kind of lose the hops in all the other stuff. But in some cases, for me, I like that. For you, you'd hate it. So 4.5 for this Warped Wing beer. This is very good. Highly recommend this beer.
What was the alcohol content on that one, JT?
6.
6?
6%. Yep. Nice and hazy. Nice and not like opaque, I guess would be the correct term for that. I'll introduce my second beer while you input some things into the old Brewproof spreadsheet for our future
I got to keep track of this. We're gonna make it. Well, before you, so we're keistering these beers. We're gonna have some sort of party when we come back, and it's like from January to whenever I get back, and we're trying to like amalgamate. So like I'm leaving these blanks on the spreadsheet, and it's like so we align like this and satisfy my desire to film everything. Or
I think I've been trying to figure out like what am I gonna do when Matt comes home? Am I gonna like force him to come to my house so that I could have like a
gunpoint,
a homecoming in person, and I'll line up all the beers that I had while he was gone in the driveway, and you just have to one by one go through the driveway, and that's the episode. That's the first episode back. Just watch Matt drink like 30 beers.
Flashback Reattack. That's going to be the title of that episode. Flashback Reattack.
Flashback Reattack. That's a good name. That might be the name of this episode. My second beer, though, is Sonder. This is another Dayton beer collaboration with Dorothy Lane Market. Interesting about this, when I saw the can, I was like, oh, here's a sour. No, it is a, what is this beer? This is a Kolsch with pineapple, coconut, mandarin, orange, and a hint of vanilla. So this is going to be interesting with that Kolsch undertone that kind of gives it like that traditional dusty beer taste. With all that fruit, it's going to be, I think it's going to be really interesting.
What's the name of that beer?
This beer is called Sonder Dorothy Lane Market.
That's DLM?
No, 1948 Fruit Stand. That's what it's called. It's on the side, which I missed, but I thought it was called Dorothy Lane Market. It's just in collaboration with Dorothy Lane Market.
Crazy.
So the name is 1948 Fruit Stand.
My number two beer is Untitled Art.
Look at that.
Our favorite rebrewers in collab. So this is a longer name, or it's going to be a longer one. In collab with our friends from Humble Forager that has done some of our favorite fruited sours that we like. Excellent. Cosmic Punch IPA. So doing a Minnesota, Wisconsin collab here. Minnesota with the Excelsior, this with that. So this is Cosmic Punch IPA. Hopefully play on the fruit punch from last week. And this is an 8% IPA.
Pretty good. What is mine? Mine is
the Kolsch, so it's under 5. 4.8. I knew it.
Damn, nailed it. Let's try to sync this up. Did you open yours yet?
No, God, no. I was waiting.
3, 2, 1.
I like that I can pull it because using the headset as the mic, I can pull it away from my computer because for so long I've been getting splashback.
Oh yeah, I got tons of splashback here. Man, I could smell this beer from it's like right here. So it's like, I don't know, 1.5 feet away from my face, and I can smell it. Wow. What an interesting beer. I feel like the Kolsch is, it's a weird choice to have underneath all that fruit.
You're going to have a lot more, I think, to talk about. Not really. Fruit stand elicits so much, and then with a Kolsch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely, they went a direction I didn't expect. Even when I picked up the can. I was going to buy this beer regardless. But when I saw it was a Kolsch, I was like, what the fuck? But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I bought it because it is going to be a conversation.
Sorry, Stacy.
So this comes in a 4-pack. I know it is in collaboration with DLM. I bought it at Dorothy Lane. I'm not sure if you can find this beer outside of Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane Market, that is. So I have no idea if you can find it anywhere but there. But there are several locations for Dorothy Lane Market. So if you're in the Dayton area, you can find this beer. And the Warped Wing beer, I'm sure, is all over. I saw that they had it at Tie 9 on tap, but I didn't get it. And then they had it. I bought that at Dorothy Lane as well.
You know my favorite fact about the Sonder Brewing? I mean, we've been drinking Sonder, for the 5 years since we've started the podcast. Like, they're just outside of our area. Yep. It's the fact that they cut their teeth in Wisconsin breweries.
I'd heard that. Yeah, they moved, right?
Yeah. So, well, they didn't have operations there. They were, fiddle fucking around for lack of a better term, and then
that's what they call it when you're a teenager and you get to second base. Fiddle fuck.
Fiddle fucking. Is that really?
Like
Is
you're
that
playing the fiddle, right? You know, without the little stick.
if you're gonna play in Texas, you better have a fiddle in the band.
You're just playing the frets.
Playing the frets. See, that's like a true musician. Oh, I had a drumming thing. Not what anyone cares about on here, but I know you care about it. There was a drumming thing that came up, and I was like, I wish I could just phone my friend right now. Like someone. Oh, the Blink one, Travis Scott, right?
Travis Barker.
Travis Barker. Travis Scott is someone else. Travis Barker, big or small kit?
He plays large drums, but he plays like a 4-piece, I believe: snare, bass, tom, and floor tom.
So, as somebody that's in that community, I'd put you up there with Neil Peart, Travis Barker, and then JT.
Thanks.
So you would call that a small kit, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's a smaller kit from a drums perspective. Yeah.
Then I screwed up. I said, oh, he has a big kit.
He plays bigger drums though. I believe his mounted tom is a larger tom, like maybe a 16-inch tom, 18-inch maybe.
Could you say that his tom is maybe a Thomas then, like just because it's larger?
Yeah, maybe it's just maybe a Thomas. He's more of a cymbal. He's got a lot more cymbals than drums. Like Neil Peart he had a lot of drums. And cymbals. He really had a lot of everything. But John Bonham, he was more about just having like a simple, and even Dave Grohl in some aspects, limited drums, but they do more with them. I think that's the Travis Barker way. He does a lot more with the beat and the rhythm than he does with multiple drums. So, good question.
I was wrong. I'll have to remember who I said that to, and I was like, oh, he plays a big kit. I didn't say big drums. I said big kit, and they're like, no, it's complete opposite. He doesn't have a lot of.
Yeah.
So I fucked up.
He was the first person.
I was wrong. I can't remember who I said that to. It was definitely when I was in New Jersey, though.
I'm sure that everyone loves this conversation, but he was the first person who I saw mount the tom, not even on the bass drum, but on a cymbal stand, perfectly flat. So, like, if you see a lot of jazz drum sets, it goes towards that. Yeah. Even when you do your fill around, you don't have to raise the bottoms of your sticks up. He actually puts it flat, so he has to, when he fills up, he has to pick the sticks up. It's weird. I don't know why he does it that way, but he's very good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gets you that Kardashian money.
Yeah, I want to think, I do actually believe that Travis Barker's probably more wealthy than the Kardashian girl he's dating. Maybe not Kim, but I think Travis Barker. When you think
Kim's not even the richest Kardashian.
Who is it?
The little sister, because she's the billionaire with her makeup line. Not Chloe.
Is that
little
the
sister
girl that he's dating?
Oh,
you're talking about the other.
She's a Jenner. She's a Jenner. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay, you're right. It's Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner's the billionaire.
Yeah. I wonder if she's still. Yeah, I'm sure she is still a billionaire, but you don't hear much about her anymore. Yeah. Interesting enough, I did hear. You mentioned drums. I watched an entire YouTube video about the rise, the current pre-rise of the Deftones because of TikTok. I had no idea that this was.
Should have sent that to me.
I had no idea that this was happening. But it's like the logic is phenomenal, and they go into this great detail about how kids these days, like Gen Z, this is like, I just totally passed my mind. A lot of the cartoons that were after us, but before our kids, they had like goth chicks in them. And this introduced a lot of kids, like Gen Z kids, to this goth girl. And TikTok has introduced a lot of. You have to watch this video. I'll send it to you. And anyone who wants it, just send us a message or comment on this video, and I'll send you the link.
As somebody that listens to a lot of that music and has a lot of goth or whatever influences in my music, like in my close music set, the Deftones are not goth, but it's hilarious. Now
they're not goth.
I'm even more intrigued.
It was more about the goth chick. The argument in this video, there was a small one about what genre they fit in, where they started as I can't remember what that type of new metal, but they kind of progressed into a more less niche category and a more broad. But that was the argument for what type of music they are. The goth part was just that these Gen Z kids are interested in the darker black hair, corset wearing goth chick. And those goth chicks are the ones on TikTok sharing the Deftones videos.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or all that stuff. Goth chick stuff.
Yeah, more of it.
I just my friends will know that not phase, but like when I would go and like I've always said since day one, podcast related, have a gimmick, and my gimmick is always just either make people laugh or other tangentially related things to that, and one of them was a couple of times dressing in drag and having a fun time with it. But
sure, there was one thing specifically mentioned in that video, which was like everybody will sell out for that goth chick if they can. I think that's totally true. There was yeah. Anyway, we could talk stories about that, but
we'll talk. That's off. If we ever set up like a Patreon or something like that,
that'd be a good off-air episode.
I will put that in that episode that I'm going to talk about that will never make air, but is quality entertainment, but will never that'll be in like the Brew Crew podcast box set that you'd have to pay a lot of money for.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I will send you that link. And if you're interested in knowing more about the music that I listen to, and some of the stuff that Matt listens to, there's this guy called the Punk Rock MBA on YouTube, and that's who made this video. And he's very good at breaking down music. I think he does take himself a little too seriously, but who doesn't, Anyway,
I like it. I don't understand TikTok, but
I don't do TikTok because of the Chinese connection. But this YouTube video talked about that, so I still don't do TikTok.
Oh God, there's so much there. I have theories on these beers. Our theories are: we finally went to. Is yours a pint can too?
Yeah.
Yep. See, we saved the pint can for number 2.
Look at that. Yeah, we both did that.
See, and
no pre-production on that. That was
no. We, as you can tell, come on. We don't pre-produce much or hardly ever at all. Both of these are Wisconsin originated. Sonder Wisconsin. Oh, that's much looser. But the fact that
this looser.
This is. I like that. Was like I didn't say it. You said it. Because it's
well, I was actually going to mention this. I watched some Charlie Barron stuff. I don't like that he uses the Midwest as a term, and then shits on like Illinois all the time, like as if those people aren't included in those jokes. Some of his jokes are like Illinois specific.
So like we did for a couple of years.
Wisconsin. Sometimes there's similarities. We hate each other, but sometimes things are the same.
And this is going to be a little inside pool. Sometimes, as we did on the podcast back when Cobra was with us, we made JT the villain. And then other people, when we would turn the camera off, everyone else, no, this is like a show. This is like a performance art or whatever like that. But you always need to have a villain. So to Charlie Barron's, when he's go Packers and fuck the Bears, that's a part of it, even though the Bears are Midwest. And but you always have to have a villain in it. Yeah. And it just so happens that you go with that because he's from that side of the state. My side of the state it'll always be the Mud Ducks. I understand where my cabin is and stuff like that, my parents' cabin and stuff like that. It's not the Mud Ducks coming over. It's all the Fibs still coming up that way a little bit. But sorry, Stacey, Ryan and Michelle, the up north crew, when they see this or whatever, they'll be able to give because they haven't left Wisconsin. And that's a good thing. So they'll always be able to give that perspective. And the fact that they're north of Highway 8. So there's delineations. But I think it's out of love because people still identify outside, JT, who is a Illinoisan or Fib. Either way, still like some of that stuff resonates, or like the You Betcha guy, the Bush Light guy.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff still resonates, but with Charlie Barron's, he needs somebody to pick on or whatever.
Yeah, it makes
And
sense.
he just happens to be from that side of the state.
I wonder what he
He's
does.
from like 10 miles from where my wife grew up.
Like, I think his act could be the same in almost all the Midwest states except Illinois, and I wonder how he changes his routine in Illinois.
I don't think he does.
He goes there.
I'm sure he does, or they groan, or like that's when like JT, like a big forthright and well-spoken individual should go stand up and go, Mr. Barron's, show me on this doll where Illinois hurt you.
Yeah, right.
And like, it's just like the doll or whatever.
It's funny to have that banter between us because there is that rivalry,
right?
At least with football and just the states themselves. But I think that his routine would be uniquely tailored to the Illinois crowd. To basically, instead of saying like, I'm from Wisconsin, like if he was in Ohio, he'd be like, I'm from Wisconsin and I hate Illinois. Where when he's in Illinois, it'd be like for that crowd, right? It's got to be.
So when he came to Dayton, my wife and I took a date night. Like we went and saw him, and it was amazing. And we went and had dinner before, so we're at Mudlick, one of our favorite places to go. And people are like, "Oh, you're from Wisconsin." People don't associate him with the Midwest; they associate him with Wisconsin. Yeah. So we met his tour manager's parents that were coming to the show, or because they were and this was the furthest east he went at the time. I still don't think Ohio is a part of the Midwest. I don't know. Like I would have to divvy it up a little bit. It just doesn't have the same feel. So. So anyway, then we went to the same. So then all of us went to the venue and we were walking around. You know me enough. I'll just walk up to people and start like we have a common. We're there for a show, and all of us are here for a reason. No one I talked to was like, you know what? I'm from Iowa, and I just wanted to see. Everyone was like, I'm from Wisconsin, and then like you start talking about your towns. And it's great because it's not, I didn't talk to anyone that was from Milwaukee. I didn't talk to anyone that was from Madison. I talked to people that were from the smaller outposts that no one ever thinks about when they think about our state. It would be like, you go to an Illinois show and it's like, oh, I'm from Normal, or I'm from Belleville or Bellevue or something like that. And that's what it was. And then you find like the common features like, oh, have you ate here? Or have you ate at this supper club? Or what do you think about this? And people that resonates, that Wisconsin speak. I think Midwest was to cast a bigger net, and it's nice hearing that he has traction. He's able to make a living, but I think it resonates more like the Target runs and stuff like that. Like, his Target shtick that he had from a couple of years ago, but like everyone likes brats, but like a couple of his videos are like very brat centric humor. Like my daughters are, soon to be 7 and 4, won't eat hot dogs. You put a brat in front of them. My 7-year-old asked for a second brat. They gobble them up, but won't eat hot dogs. Like I like that sense of like escalation a little bit. Like a hot dog is beneath them.
You got to stop giving them Oscar Mayer hot dogs.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter, the hot dog. Like my father-in-law who will listen, there's none of that shit that like this is all like butcher like high grade stuff. And granted, don't think that they're super sophisticated. They will only eat mac and cheese if it comes out of the cup. Like it can't. It can't be Velveeta shells and cheese. It can't be out of the box. It can't be homemade.
Resonates like I forget what it was, like a Midwest bottle opener, the Midwest Siri or whatever it was like resonates throughout that region. And here's a fun fact, by the way. You might already know this as a geographer, but the Midwest is actually a term coined by Great Britain in the 1800s for the middle of the West, that's why Ohio is often lumped in. And I agree that the feeling of the Midwest, Ohio doesn't have it, because
it doesn't.
You shouldn't be able to go somewhere and all of a sudden people have a Southern accent. That's not the Midwest, that's the South. And these people take more pride in like trucks and country music than people in the Midwest, the real Midwest, which I think would be maybe Indiana to Missouri, and then just that huge chunk from Wisconsin down to, I don't know how far down.
So we eliciting geographers speak into this. They did a survey on like what is the Midwest to you, and it varied. And I wish I had the diagram or whatever, but this was from my college days. There was people in Eastern Washington that they thought they were a part of the Midwest. Holy shit,
Yes.
Eastern Washington. And I understand Eastern Washington, if you guys go is essentially a desert. Like it's in the rain shadow of the Cascade Mountains, and like Walla Walla is there in Pullman and stuff like that. It's completely different from like the idyllic, like what's that vampire fucking movie, or like where when you think of like Forks or Seattle and stuff like that. Like it rains more in Dayton on average, or it rains more days than it does in Seattle. Like everyone's like, oh, it's always raining. But like these are one of the things that are elicited by, like media and stuff like that. Like that, it's just not true. But so anyways, I'm glad that we agree, because other people, like, you always want to belong to something, and there's other people that have lived in Ohio their entire lives, and they're like, oh, we're definitely in the Midwest. No, because JT and I can drive 45 minutes from where we drive, and the accent completely changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like somebody, I was talking to somebody, and they're like, oh, you go over like, and like or boat bag about like, I know that's a Wisconsin, Minnesota type thing, but that's home. That's how I know I'm home.
Well, I mean, the Chicago has obviously a specific accent because of, the super fans on Saturday Night Live, and there's just a different way that you speak.
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of that over the years, but sometimes it comes back when I go home. But, like O's in Illinois are long A's, several A's stringed together, like mom and John. That's how you say it in Chicago.
Yeah.
Those and three is typically tree. Very Italian influence on that, and duh for the. Just a lot of shortcuts to the end of the word. But
right.
Yeah, here in Ohio, it's like, I don't understand why you go 10 minutes north from Dayton, 10 minutes north, south, east, west, doesn't matter. Go 10 minutes outside the city and everyone all of a sudden has a southern accent. Like, we're not in the South. You're not in the South. And there's no southern influence here. It's just all of a sudden, but that's what they think. That's what people here value. They value that southern mindset. So just don't claim to be Midwest. You're not Midwest.
I mean, we both know and love people that are Ohioans through and through, and they would say, I would go, what do you identify with? And they would say Midwest, and I would fight them a little bit. And there are people that we both know and love that would, probably destroy us in the car, but it's a different feel. And for me to drive from where I'm from here or there is 12 hours. And I was like, man, it changes a little bit. I always say Ohio's mid-Atlantic. I would, put them in with like, parts of Pennsylvania or whatever. It's not the whole state, but Indiana, most of Indiana, I would give to the Midwest, but I think there's a delineation because everyone does it like by crops and time and stuff like that. It's not the case.
I think Cleveland might be Midwest, which is what throws everyone in Ohio off. Cleveland definitely feels like the Midwest. Everything else in Ohio doesn't. I'm glad you brought up Pennsylvania because that was good. That cleared it all up. Pennsylvania is New England as far as just the feel.
God, interesting. This is
too old.
But again, these are the things you talk about, like when you have beers and stuff like that. Like right. I brought up to an 82-year-old man at my favorite place to get my hair cut and have a beer, Yingling. And this guy's been drinking longer than JT and I have been alive combined, and had never heard of Yingling.
Oh my gosh!
Like, had heard like ancient lagers, hams, Schlitz, all of this stuff, and had stories from it. Like, was friends with my grandpa, and I just met him because he's a bartender at this hole in the wall, 300 square feet, and I was like, but never Yingling. So now I'm gonna bring him Yingling.
Oh yeah, you gotta bring him Yingling.
But the thing is, like, when he was done with the shift, he's like, I can have one beer. And he had a Shiner Bock, and it just totally destroyed me. But anyways, it's a can-only bar, and I tried to drink my way through the bar. Another story, another time.
Excellent. Well, that was an awesome conversation. I think we could probably continue having for
Yeah.
quite a while. But I'm gonna go ahead and review this beer. This is the Can Art Boner segment. Who is this brought to us by? I mean, I have no idea at this point.
You didn't say last week, and I was like, maybe he's got a new vision for it.
Is it still Trouble or Todd? Maybe.
Yeah, it was Todd, but I don't know if your mom came back and took the crown.
Yeah, maybe Chuggalo Mom. Let's call it that. Chuggalo Mom. She did provide some beer, so this is it's got like a little cart here. If you know anything about Oakwood, there's a lot of cart action here. People.
Yeah, if you know anything about Oakwood, all these people.
Well, I don't know if Dorothy Lane is inherently just Oakwood, but anyway, like our garbage men, they drive around these golf carts. We have carts that plow our sidewalks. And don't worry for all you people who think that Oakwood's like this elitist club. We pay a lot of taxes for that to happen, so no one slips and falls. But this is like a cart similar to that, but I'm sure it's a truck. I don't really know what you'd call this because it's got like a truck front, but like a cart back, like a kind of.
It's like a Daihatsu, like half vehicle. So like if you ever are on a college campus or something like that, it's almost like a golf cart that's more of like a utility vehicle 20 years ago, like UTVs. It's not a UTV.
UTV.
Like they click, like you can hear them rev up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good can art. Very old, like, very old looking 50s, 60s style cart. And that's it. That's can art. Flavor wise, very confusing beer because this beer, it does have that Kolsch undertone. It's like, here's a standard kind of dusty beer. That's what I think Kolsch is. They're always just the same. It's not dirty. It's clean. It's just dusty. I don't know how to explain it. That's the only flavor I ever get from a Kolsch. But the fruit here is it has the viscosity of a smoothie sour. It really does. It's thick. It's very sweet on the tongue. The pineapple sticks out like crazy. It's almost completely pineapple. And the only way I would get any of the citrus is maybe in a grapefruit. It's got that bitterness on the tongue, but I actually think that's the Kolsch that's doing that, not because they say mandarin orange. I think that's more, that bitterness is more something else. It says it has coconut. I'm not really getting the coconut unless that's coconut water or coconut milk, which we'll find out later because when I drink that, I shit like crazy. So I'll get back to you all on whether or not that's coconut milk. But pineapple with the viscosity and the sweetness of a smoothie sour, but no sour. All Kolsch, all just dry. I mean, dry as fuck. This beer is like, it is after the pineapple wears off, there's nothing left on your tongue. It's just dry, like bad breath bitterness. Just hint of vanilla, it says. I think the vanilla does come through.
Vanilla extract or like vanilla, like
it
pure?
Just says hint of vanilla.
Yep.
But I'm tasting more of, I don't know, maybe like a vanilla cream. Maybe that's what's doing it to the pineapple, making it thicker. It's a weird beer. I'm gonna pour it in a glass and see how thick it is. Oh yeah, it's pretty thick here.
It's all JT's backwash, peoples.
It's all
Is the sticker back? Is the sticker on the bottom of that glass? Let's see that. No, on the bottom of that glass.
On the bottom of the glass, yeah, there's a sticker. But I've washed this glass. I don't, wash the bottom.
Yeah.
It's from the dollar store. So,
We got into a conversation we'll have to talk about the bottoms of things when we unhit the record button.
Who said that? Who said something about the bottoms of things? Did I say that?
No. Earlier today in my office. So it's an office fight, but Not podcast material.
I'm typically conscious of it at work because I have coffee. I drink coffee while I'm on meetings, but I just totally forgot about this. If I'm,
It's like JT.
honest,
it's like JT every podcast.
I don't spend a shitload of time in the Carriage House bar, so taking the stickers off things never really crossed my mind. Yeah, I mean, I got coasters, so I'll use them. Just so here's my label. If anyone wants to scan that.
5-year commitment.
What, scanning that?
No.
Some people like to hear that I'm actually setting it down.
No one likes to hear it. No one likes to hear that.
Floating. I'm setting it down.
Let me set my can down. Oh, pleasing.
Perfect. Yeah, but yours is sheathed and I can't see it. People like to see the can art. They want to know I'm still drinking the same beer.
As you showed us, like, people like to see that I'm still drinking the can, just like this. Great.
Yeah. This beer it's interesting. I think this beer is exactly what I expected because it's a Kolsch and it's got all this fruit and the vanilla, and it's just an amalgamation of two different things that I never would have put together. And I've had a cherry Kolsch before and also found that to be weird. But this one's good. Man, Sonder, if you put this same recipe on top of a better beer, you have a home run. This is a very well-balanced beer. From a fruit perspective, the Kolsch dries it out, and maybe that's what you're going for. In that regard, I don't hate this beer. I'm not a huge fan of the dry feeling on the end. So for that, I give it a 4. But very good beer. And I think that you could get like a 4.75 out of this with a different beer, different style on this beer. But 4 is good, so maybe they're happy with it.
I'm interested because, again, I was, whiplash all the way through. It's like watching a James Cameron movie. I didn't know what was to expect. Mm-hmm. So 2 places that JT and I really care about, or have done as well, is Humble Forager and both Untitled Art. And they came together on something that was outside of the Humble Forager, like, sweet spot, like making those smoothie style. I mean, they do, they're the epitome of like craft beers and like taking ideas and a cacophony and throwing them all together in a blender and just seeing what happens to come out. Untitled Art is an amazing rebrewer that, you give them their recipe and they'll figure it out. So off the top rope, I give this a 3.25. The best aspect of this beer is that it is extremely drinkable at 8%. And it comes from a pint can. So I like the Excelsior better. But okay. I like that this one gives me 4 ounces more, so it makes me feel, or if you guys are into like Tinder or whatever, 4 ounces more. See, look, that's all things equal. Yeah. JT, that's a funny joke, JT.
I don't know that you could use ounces in that situation.
So, well, it's all water displacement. Everyone should have to do a water displacement test. It's not a length or a measurement test. It just put it all in a tank of water and see how much water you displace.
Well, it's mass.
All things being equal, it's just how much water you can displace in like a cylinder or a gallon bucket, or how confident you are. A teacup, thimble for some people. But yeah, a 4.25. I enjoy the West Coast Bridge a little bit better, so I'm comparing them against each other. Which was a fun conversation that JT and I got involved with, in another video. How you rate beers and being influenced, but that's a conversation I think for another time. But again, both really good beers, both IPAs, and both for me, both WIPAs. So both sweet spots for me where I feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's a good sweet spot for you. Great. Yeah, that's awesome. I like that you said which one you like better. I mean, it's clear for me
because they're the same. I feel confident. There's no Punch IPA. Like last week we had a fruit punch IPA.
Yeah.
There's no fruit, but it's cosmic punch. It's not. It doesn't elicit fruit. It doesn't say anything about fruit. So it's just like, a powerful punch. It's not. But that's looking deep.
So they're not talking about fruit punch. They're talking
No.
about more of a punch, like a West Coast hot punch.
Yeah, or a cosmic punch, like a superhero move, like
a
a Marvel movie.
For those fans of I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, it's like a cosmic gumbo.
Cosmic gumbo. Mm.
You should watch that show if you haven't seen it. It's amazing. Yeah, I liked the Warped Wing beer better, but that's obvious in my score.
Yep.
That better. But I think that Sonder, you got the foundation of something great. And I wonder, like with the Dorothy Lane collaboration, I always wonder when they collaborate with like a grocery store, which we've had several grocery store collaborations, how that works. Like, how does that relationship work? Did they say, oh, here's the ingredients we want you to include in this beer? Or did they just say, here's some money, put our name on the can?
No, here's what happens. They send the lowest ranking stock boy, and they just have him throw like the Jif peanut butter, the fucking Skippy, and whatever frozen broken bag of broccolinis or whatever. And they're like, this is not going to sell. Throw this in your beer. Hopefully it works.
But this has pineapple and other stuff.
Yeah, so a dented pineapple, like the click list. Dude fucked it up. Guy's name is Trent. Trent fucked it up. Fuck you, Trent.
Trent? You know this guy?
Oh yeah. It's always a Trent.
I thought Trent did fine.
Yeah.
He did fine. But I wonder how that. Yeah, I wonder even more so how that collaboration worked beyond what you've revealed.
Beyond the insider expertise.
Beyond the insight you've given, how does that collaboration work? Who decides what the beer is? And that's it. That's what I wonder. Mm-hmm. Dorothy Lane's a great grocery store if you guys like weird ass grocery stores where everything's more. So there's this grape that people have been using in charcuterie boards called cotton candy grapes. Have you heard of them?
Yes, I actually have. I'm not being agreeable. Yes.
Okay. Dorothy Lane had those grapes for $40.
No, get the
right. Listen, my wife went to Aldi, found the same grapes for $4. Bought them there, and they're actually really good. They do kind of taste like cotton candy. That's
how Peloton was failing as a company.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing they changed, people, this is a beer podcast talking about Peloton, so I know there's not a lot of crossover.
It's relevant. That's a craft. That's an artisan workout device.
So it was $1,300, and they were failing. They didn't change anything, people. They doubled the price to $2,600, and then it went gangbusters because rich people. It turned into a status good, and that's what their fucking marketing team. And that's what Don help me out, Mad Men. Don Draper. That's what Don Draper just doubled the fucking price to the machine. That's it.
That's really
It's sold like they didn't change anything. Don't tell me support and shit like that. No. They didn't change anything, but people love it. 92% of people are still with it after a year if you listen to their commercials.
If you listen to their commercials. I see a lot on Facebook Marketplace.
Yep. Good luck on your New Year's resolution.
Yeah. I don't have a Peloton, nor will I have a Peloton.
No. We own a Peloton, and my wife just did her 350th ride, so she's still with it. So
congrats to her. I did a cycling class when I was in the military. It's rough. I don't like being yelled at though.
I cycled in college and enjoyed the shit out of it. So yeah, then
like class, like an environment where there's
I was a part of a team.
Like you cycled outside.
Hell yeah, road
about like cycling classes where there's an instructor and they tell you what to do, when to do it. And stuff.
That's spinning.
Spin. That's what I meant. Spin. That's how bad that's how much I didn't really care for it. I did it for a good 3-4 months, and I mean, it was great. I lost a ton of weight, got in great shape, but man, was it hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and they, like you said, they yell.
They find you. If you're not doing what they're saying, they're, oh, you got to do this.
Move it over, fatty. Just keep going.
Yeah. I'm new here. That's what I always say. 3 months in, I'm new here. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't go that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I don't have any other points
That-
to make.
That's it. We put a bow on this one.
That's a meaty episode.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
so
a lot to
that
this
intermission
call.
interlude. There's a lot that we offered there. A lot of our thoughts
there. Talk about the Midwest. Talk about the Deftones and rock music, etc.
etc.
etc. That's
That's going to be the episode title, etc.
Good. I'm glad you say it like that because most people don't, and it annoys me.
Yeah.
Etc. Not that. Anyway, that's it. That's episode 219. Just another magical episode. We made it work.
We put it in the container.
Yep. Put it in the container. What is that from? Oh, that's Goldberg's.
Goldberg's.
That show, it's off the rails.
Off the rails.
Unwatchable. But not the Brew Crew podcast. We're totally watchable.
Take us home, JT.
That's it. 219. I mean, that's it.